Naruto's path to power, perfect Jinchuriki and unstoppable rise against Konoha's root. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 51. A few more months passed. Ever since Uchiha saw the contents of the stone tablet, he had been worried. This was something he hadn't seen before he was beaten by Naruto to open Sangoitama. On this day, Kakashi took Uchiha to a monitoring room. Since you joined the dark department, how can you not avoid this task? Uchiha asked with a surprised look. What task are you doing here? Kakashi pointed to the screen on the surveillance and said lightly. In the Nine Tails incident 6 years ago, the top management suspected that the Uchiha clan was making trouble behind their backs, and since then they have begun to monitor the Uchiha area 24 hours a day. Uchiha fell silent, watching several dark people constantly monitoring the Uchiha area with telescopes, and his heart was full of taste. How? Is there an anomaly? If there is nothing abnormal, let's change shifts, Kakashi asked to one of them. The dark part nodded. There is no abnormality. Kakashi looked at the silent Uchiha Itachi and said, there is not only one surveillance station here, and the route controlled by Lord Tuanzo is also monitored. How about it? Tell your clansmen about this. Uchiha knew that this was the village's temptation to himself. He thought of the Night of the Nine Tails, and then thought of the records on the stone tablet. What am I going to do here? The dark part of the shift pointed to the telescope and said, just stare at it with this thing, then Captain, let's go first. Keep an eye on it, ferrets. After speaking, several people left from the monitoring room. Looking at Uchiha Itachi sitting in front of the telescope, Kakashi comforted. There is also this kind of work in the dark department, although it is not assassination, but it is also a shady job. Uchiha said expressionlessly. A mission is a mission. Kakashi looked at the intelligence. Besides, you're monitoring your own companions and family, and even more so, I can help you change shifts. Uchiha Weasel directly refused. No, and, the Uchiha clan also sensed the village's suspicion of them. Kakashi nodded. I guess so. And Uchiha Itachi finally found Sasuke, who went to school in the telescope. A smile appeared on his face. Kakashi looked confused. This is spying on your people. You laugh a fart. Even if you have dark qualifications, can you not be blacked like this? Very oozing okay. Another few weeks passed. The conflict between the Uchiha clan and Konoha reached its peak. Many of the trifles that were originally just drinking and fighting. In order to vent their dissatisfaction at being ostracized by Konoha, the members of the garrison directly chose to be severely punished. Konoha F4 gathers at Hokage's office to discuss the recent movements of the Uchiha clan. There are more and more complaints about the police force being too strict in enforcing the law. There is also growing suspicion of the garrison. Tuanzong narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly. Uchiha is starting to show off his might. Ape Flying Sun Chopper continued to play the role of the good old man said. No, this should be a rebellion, the impact of the Nine Tails incident 6 years ago. Mito Menyen said. At that time, no one in the Uchiha family was harmed. Koharu frowned. That's the source of suspicion. Although they are both Konoha F4, the IQ of these two is obviously not as good as that of Tuanzo. They hadn't seen that the Uchiha clan had no casualties that were the reason for the two guys in front of them. Sarutobi looked at Tuanzong and said, the practice of ordering Uchiha to stay away from the Nine Tails must have made them feel the suspicion of the village. Sarutobi Hinata is clearly throwing the pot at Danzo, who ordered Uchiha not to participate in the Battle of the Nine Tails. Tuanzong snorted coldly. Uchiha's quarantine policy is Konoha's basic policy that has been carried down from the second generation of adults, and now you are complaining about me. Ape Fei immediately defended. The second generation of adults is not for isolating them, but for the sake of the families. Have you forgotten our friend Uchiha Kakami? Danzo's bandaged Sharingan I jumped. Of course, how can I forget that his pupil technique has helped me follow me many times. It was obvious that Tuanzong thought that Ape Flying Sun Chopper did not know his Sharingan. Danzo said that he pressed the chakra eye on his right eye, and he thought that Sarutobi Hinata was talking about Uchiha Kagami. However, the Ape Flying Sun Chop does not debunk. He continued indifferently. The Uchiha clan are Konoha's partners, and this partner must be left behind. Tuanzong looked disdainful. If you can keep it. He thought that the Ape Flying Sun Slash wanted to keep the entire Uchiha clan. And this time Ape Flying Sun Chopper is indeed the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. After all, this thing is not the same as the White Eye, and anyone who presses the wheel I can use it. This has been tested by Kakashi. Even if the Uchiha family disappeared, the Sharingan can still become Konoha's blood succession limit. This discussion broke up in the confusion of Tuanzong like a fool, and Sarutobi is convinced that he has achieved his goal. He believes that his old partner has understood what he means, and even if he does not understand, he will go according to his own ideas. And on the other side of the Fire Nation border, Uchiha's ultra-long-distance illusion easily scared off the Qing team of the Mist-Hidden Village, who came to harass. Now Ziwu-in Village should be able to be honest for a while, Shueishui muttered, and then disappeared from the spot. At this time, several reminders sounded in Naruto's system in a row. Ding dong, the protagonist's aura passively takes effect, and the Mandate of Heaven event is triggered immediately. Episode 52, Mandate of Heaven Incident? Naruto looked at the system prompt with a blank look and was confused. Although the system was introduced when it first appeared, but since activating the system itself, no destiny event has been triggered. Naruto suspected that the protagonist's aura was fake. The so-called destiny event refers to a random lucky event that occurs in favor of the protagonist with a small probability. I haven't found anything lucky lately. I haven't even picked up a single piece of money. System, what about my destiny event? why doesn't it feel? Ding dong, mandate of heaven event will be triggered in 5 days. Naruto suddenly looked disgusted. What a broken thing, this kind of protagonist aura thing is still delayed. Then Naruto decided what to do. After all, the mandate of heaven event is such a thing. Probably the matter of pie in the sky, you don't have to do anything yourself, something is better than nothing. There is time to entangle the mandate of heaven event, it is better to go and make up more relations with Hong. Those who are the same age over the years are okay, and they always see themselves as children. Before he completely gets rid of his immaturity, he can't let the guy who died early dig a corner. Although he prefers to believe that Ape Flying Future is the girlfriend of the water, and the water stop at this time. Naruto-sama, the water stop team has returned from their mission. Ape Flying Sun looked at the water stopping squad below with a satisfied face. It is worthy of being the descendant of Uchiha Kagami, whether it is strength or the will of fire. Yes, you guys have worked a long-term mission, take a good vacation. The water stop below suddenly spoke. Well, I have a request for 3 generations. Ape Fei narrowed his eyes. The two found a separate place to discuss secretly. Uchiha stopped the water and said half kneeling. I am deeply saddened by the mutual distrust between the Uchiha clan and the village. Sarutobi nodded. Me too. However, what Shueishuei said next set off terrifying waves in the depths of Ape Flying Sun's heart. I want to rebuild the trust between the clan and the village. Can you assign me this task? Sarutobi frowned. What he wanted was for the Uchiha clan to disappear, leaving only the talents who could be used. Do you want to stop the normal mission? Yes, and please give me certain permissions. How do you want to do it? Use my eyes called other gods. Uchiha stopped the water and opened his eyes, and the strange kaleidoscope appearance made the Ape Flying Sun chop his heart tremble. I can manipulate the target without being noticed to make it look like the other person is acting on my own volition. I will ask Fugaku to think about ways to coexist with the village. Sarutobi stared at Uchiha, deadly, as clever as he had already figured out something was wrong. Have you ever used this ninjutsu on anyone else? Shueishui's face changed when he lowered his head when he heard the question. Nope. Sarutobi didn't say anything more, nodded and said, I understand. I will declare that you have been sent by me to carry out a confidential investigation mission. If you encounter a case, report my name, and I will bear all the responsibility. Shueishui was overjoyed when he heard this. Sure enough, Sandaime is a good peace-loving Hokage, and he must stop the coup of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha said excitedly. Thank you very much. Ape Fei turned his back, a cold light flashed in his eyes, but he smiled in his mouth. Looking at you, I think of my former friend, Uchiha Kagami, so I believe you. You're wrong. Then the water stopped and left instantly. And after the water stops, it leaves. Ape Fei's face completely turned gloomy. Don't be a god. It seems that the anomaly when it hit Hinata in the first place has a source. There is such a terrifying pupil technique. The Uchiha clan really should not exist in Konoha, and it is time for the old guy to know about this. Ape Flying Sun Slash has realized that Shueishuei has cast another god on himself. How could a politician like him be infected by Naruto's so-called blood? This kind of terrifying pupil technique that manipulates people's hearts can definitely not be controlled in the hands of the Uchiha clan. Not to mention that he also has a previous record of manipulating himself. Uchiha stops the water and must die. On the other side, Shueishuei did not know that he had been on the must-kill list of Ape Flying Sun. He was still rejoicing in the village's trust in him. He finds his only fellow friend in the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi. At this time, Itachi had just completed the task of monitoring the Uchiha clan and completed the shift change. Nissan, is the mission accomplished? Come and practice with me. Sorry Sasuke, suddenly someone is looking for me. Looking at Sasuke who pouted, Itachi directly came to a brain. Next time, definitely. Immediately, the ferret followed the water and left instantly. You're back. Yes, finally drive away the people of Wuin village. Is there something going on? I want to hear your sincere words. How many % do you think Fugaku is serious? Uchiha was silent for a while and said, Uchiha's dissatisfaction with the village is growing. And if the village continues to maintain the status quo. Stop Shuei looked at the waterfall in front of him inexplicably. If the village changes, will Uchiha change? That's the purpose of his visit. The real other gods, used once for more than 10 years of cooling. He needs to consider whether to use it on Konoha high level or Uchiha high level use. Uchiha shook his head. If Uchiha does not change, the village will not change, and as long as the distrust between the two sides continues, the situation will only deteriorate. When Shueisui heard this, he made up his mind in his heart. In his opinion, compared to Uchiha Fugaku, Sarutobi is obviously more inclined to ease the relationship between the two sides and change his attitude towards Uchiha. I want to dispel these suspicions. Do you think you can do it? Stop Shuei laughed. I don't know, so to try. Once Uchiha launches a coup d'etat, it will only bring unfortunate ends to both sides. Uchiha Itachi is heavy too. I am also against the coup, but if you want to stop him, you can only use unconventional means. Stop the water too. I understand, but you'd better not act rashly. Uchiha was stunned. Why? He also wants to work with Shueishuei to prevent the coup from happening. However, what Shueishuei said made his face ugly. Some of the garrison suspects you, and they order me to monitor you. Uchiha Itachi's face was gloomy. He didn't expect that the first person who doubted him was his own clan. At this time, the balance in Itachi's heart completely tilted towards Konoha. A few days later, it's the day of Uchiha's rally again. Episode 53. Tuanzong found the ape flying sun chop early. There is another rally in Uchiha tonight, Tuanzong said sharply to the ape flying sun. Ape Fei said with a helpless face, I also know about the rally. But Uchiha said that it was a sacrifice of the clan, and even I couldn't interrupt. Tuanzong was furious. What is sacrifice? They are inciting the hostility of the clansmen to the village. Using hostility to strengthen the unity of a clan is preparing for a coup. Hinata, you can't even see this, what kind of Hokage? Sarutobi glanced at the portal behind him and said, I'll kill this bud, stop the water. Uchiha stopped the water and pushed the door in. Sarutobi explained, Shursui will attend the rally, and if Uchiha Fugaku really wants to plot a coup, I'll use the other gods. Saying that, the water stopped revealing his kaleidoscopic chakra eyes. Immediately, Sarutobi introduced the effect of the pupil technique to Tuanzong. Tuanzong's eyes narrowed, and his heart suddenly became hot. If this is in his own hands, wouldn't it be the position of the Hokage? Sarutobi / this too even wanted him to use it against the Uchiha clan. This is a big waste. At this time, Tuanzong's eyes were full of fire. Just like when he first met the Eye of Reincarnation in the Land of Rain, he had long forgotten about the rebellion of the Uchiha clan. Shuei continued to Tuanzong, I'll ask Fugaku to think about ways to coexist with the village. Tuanzong snorted coldly. Just when Fugaku changed his mind, I'm afraid he won't be able to calm the dissatisfaction of the entire Uchiha. Ape Fei said with a smile at this time. No, the Uchiha family is willing to change, then we can change and improve Uchiha's treatment in the future. Shursui was overjoyed when he heard this, and sure enough, he chose Hokage correctly. That's exactly what I want. Sarutobi nodded. I will order a dark department to support you in the rear. Please, stop the water. Yes. What Shursui didn't know was that the dark part responsible for supporting him was none other than Uchiha Itachi, who had been thoroughly brainwashed. I have finished singing Red Face. The next step is to let Tuanzong sing White Faces. Prevent Uchiha from attending tonight's assembly, causing ostracism from the Uchiha clan. Then let him see the ugly face of Tuanzong rejecting Uchiha, and let him understand that it is impossible for the village to coexist with the Uchiha clan. Then just sit and wait to watch the play. Time lapse. Soon it was late afternoon. Naruto ended the mission of harvesting destiny for this month. In a good mood, he decided to go to the forest for a picnic. The same grilled fish, Naruto ate a different taste. This is completely different from the cautious self and state of mind 3 years ago. Sure enough, this pollution-free wild fish is the most fragrant. Naruto sniffed the aroma of grilled fish and sighed with emotion. Suddenly a hurricane hit. The grilled fish that had not yet been eaten was instantly covered in a cloud of sand. The corners of Naruto's eyes jumped and jumped. The bruises on his forehead were exposed, and he looked in the direction of the attack. A huge green chakra giant is roaring in the distance. Naruto raised his eyebrows. Susanoo? He casually threw the fish to the ground, and his body directly turned into a phantom and rushed towards the direction of the battle. By the time Naruto arrived, the battle was basically over. The 8-foot Kyanga jade that stopped the water directly killed a group of roots. However, this is only one of the squads. Naruto sensed that not only himself, but more of the root squad were on their way. Naruto pondered for a moment. Directly appeared in front of Shueishui's body in an instant. Like a frightened bird, the water stopped and directly slashed with Susa's sword. A vine suddenly appeared on the ground and stopped Susa's chakra knife. Don't get excited, it's me. Shursui looked at it with his single eye, and it turned out to be Naruto's figure. Only then did he let go of his heart. Naruto lifted his back and stopped the water and instantly left the place. It didn't take a while. Tuanzong and the rest of the members of the root squad appeared in place. This is Muduan's power? Tuanzong's face turned a little dark. Is it Renzali or Yamato? Go find it. You must not let other god fall into the hands of others. Yes, the root member snorted and disappeared instantly. Tuanzong added in his heart, especially you, ape flying sun, but he still wants to use other gods to obtain the position of Hokage. Being able to sneak into the opponent's brain and create illusions like real experiences, the gods of heaven actually want to use this power to stop a coup d'etat. The descendants of the Uchiha clan don't even know the true usage of the Sharingan, he said. It's only a matter of time before Uchiha mutinies, and taking this opportunity to catch it all is once and for all. You are old and no longer fit to be a Hokage. After Tuanzong finished muttering, he stared at the kaleidoscope in the glass bottle with a fiery face. This is the first step to your own rise. Naruto on the other side, moved quickly with a stop in the water. The two came to a hidden cliff. Naruto put the water down. Shursui told Naruto what had happened. Naruto looked at Uchiha as if he were looking at a retarded person. Are you an idiot? You yourself have used other gods on the ape flying sun, you forgot? For the dovish Uchiha of Uchiha Shursui, Naruto is not annoying, because they will not provoke themselves as pillars of power because of power. So after discovering that he was monitoring his changing water, Naruto thought that he could help. That is the decision to change from the black cauldron that killed Yunin for Hayashi to use other heavenly gods to control the ape flying sun in order to stop the water. Originally, Naruto thought that Shuizu had the experience of manipulating 3 generations with other gods. Then he would not have exposed his ability to write chakra eyes anyway. Who would have thought that this unlucky child would continue to expose himself without the slightest slightest hesitation. This is a mental retardation. Episode 54. Naruto looked at the severely injured and poisoned Shursui and raised his hand. Forget it, morning changes. Stop the water? What do you mean by that? Look at 2B. You're done. Ding dong, the protagonist's aura is activated, and the Mandate of Heaven event is triggered. Looking at Naruto's figure in Shursui's mind, the figure of the fourth generation of Hokage suddenly appeared. If the fourth generation was still alive, it would have changed the status quo of the Uchiha family long ago, right? He suddenly thought of the souls of the four generations in Naruto's body. The water stop ghost made God almost snap his left eye and handed it directly to Naruto. Nah duo, you were born from the legacy of four generations, and I am powerless to stop the coup of the Uchiha clan. Once Konoha fights a civil war, other countries will inevitably take advantage of the void, and war is inevitable. I originally wanted to use another god to stop the coup, but Tuanzo took away my right eye, and he didn't believe me. He insists on protecting the village in his own way, but he is afraid that he will not let go of my left eye, and before that, I will give this eye to you. Naruto, aren't you supposed to give the big filial piety? So, what do you think? Weasel? Naruto suddenly turned his head to look at a shadowy place. A masked dark part came out of the woods. It was Uchiha Itachi, who was sent by Sarutobi to help stop the water. He had been waiting at the agreed place, but before the meeting had started, he knew something must have happened. So he followed Naruto when he saved the water. Uchiha Itachi looked at the water stop with a complicated face. At this time, the water stop can no longer see the figure of the weasel. The eyeballs let themselves gouge out. Weasel? Is the ferret here too? At this time, the water stop was so weak that even the weasel's chakra could not perceive it. Sorry, stop the water, I'm late. Uchiha came forward with a sad look. Shuei-Chang said with a smile. Sorry, I didn't entrust these eyes to you, who is my only friend. I believe that the age spirit in Naruto's body will give him the correct guidance to use these eyes. But Farah, I still have one thing for you. Uchiha said a little anxiously. Don't say so much, first detoxify your body, and then. There is no time Itachi, it's too late, please ask you again in the end, protect this village, and the reputation of the Uchiha clan. The weasel looked at the increasingly weak Shuei and felt extremely uncomfortable. Stop the water. Naruto on the side complained madly in his heart. That's it. Just TM this. People let you protect Uchiha's reputation, but not let you kill Uchiha all. You are neurotic. Directly use other gods to control the high level of Konoha, or your dick will be finished. However, at this time, Uchiha continued, although I didn't give you my eyes, I have something else to give you, new power. My kaleidoscope riding will I stop the water? Uchiha was shocked. He had already seen the method of obtaining the kaleidoscope chakra eye from the Uchiha stone tablet through the three-hook jade. That is the loved one is really in front of him. Uchiha's face was full of melancholy. Suddenly, a wooden gun suddenly sprang up from the ground and directly stabbed the heart of the water stop. The sudden attack made Uchiha and Shursui change their faces greatly. The weasel's eyes turned into three-hook jade, and then directly transformed into a triangular windmill. He turned his head to stare at Naruto. Naruto said with a look of sorrow, my dad asked me to do this. He said that you Uchiha clan need to open the kaleidoscope need a very sudden stimulation, and you don't necessarily need to kill your loved ones yourself. The corners of his mouth were bleeding, and his eyes were full of relief when he looked at Uchiha's kaleidoscope. For generations? With your help, I'm relieved. Itachi, Naruto is right. Congratulations on opening the kaleidoscope. For you, the road ahead may be dark and arduous, and I can't walk side by side with you. I'm sorry for you, but I know you can definitely stick to your own direction. As a ninja of Konoha, move forward. I'm sure you can. That's why I entrusted this mission to you. Thank you for having a friend like you. Goodbye. When the voice of the water stop fell, the breath in the mouth and nose had disappeared, and Naruto's mind also heard a sound of systematic prompts. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing the shadow-level powerhouse Uchiha to stop the water and obtain a destiny value of 500,000 points. Naruto lamented in his heart, what a good experience baby, it's just gone. He hasn't had time to brush it a few times. And at this time, Uchiha's eyes were already full of anger. He blamed all this on the rebellion of the Uchiha clan. Arrogant, 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 and arrogant as the founder of Konoha. Uchiha Itachi turned his head to look at Naruto. Thank you. I didn't let me kill my best friend myself. Naruto looked at the extra destiny value in the system and waved his hand unceremoniously. It should. Uchiha didn't say anything more. He picked up the body that stopped the water and disappeared in an instant. Naruto looked at the kaleidoscope in his hand and the extra 500,000 destiny points. This destiny event can, this time directly let yourself have one more B-level lottery. Naruto opens his system panel. Episode 55. Host, Naruto Uzumaki. Position, none. Talent, Vortex Bloodline, Chakra Precise Control. Special abilities, Nine-Tailed Chakra, Azura Chakra, Activated, Wave Feng Shui Gate Chakra, Uzumaki Jio Shurnai Chakra, Bagua Seal, Reincarnation Eye. Skills, Spiral Pill Series, Multiple Shadow Doppelganger Art, 8 Doors Dunjia, 3 Body Art, Shuriken Art, Would Escape Secret Art, Azura Immortal Art. Item, Chakra Multiplier Card. Protagonist Halo, Full Level, Current Stage. Combat Effectiveness, 300. Destiny Value, 2.56 million. There hasn't been much change in terms of skills in the past 6 months. The main thing is that the daily destiny value of 10,000 and the destiny value given by killing water and beating children reached 2.56 million. Although it is still far from the 10 million level A-level lottery, it is already possible to conduct 2 B-level lotteries, and the reward of the B-level lottery is something at the same level as the reincarnation eye, but after all, it does not exceed the boundary of the super shadow level. If you want to completely be worry-free, you undoubtedly need to have an A-level lottery. Therefore, this destiny event accidentally got 500,000 destiny values and a kaleidoscope, which can be regarded as an unexpected joy. There are less than 5.5 years left before the start of the plot. According to the daily 10,000 destiny points, there are almost 20 million heavenly destiny points, which is enough for 2 A-level lotteries by yourself. Even counting the reward for beating children, maybe you can make up a little more. Thinking of this, Naruto was a little impatient, and he was ready to try his luck again. What is this called? Pumping 2-hand pad success rate. The reward area of this system is fixed, and there will be no situation where the character is too bad and the prize is garbage. Please do not push the pot in the gambler's heart to the system. Naruto, MMP, draw, twice, B grade. Naruto looked at such a faceless system and said with a grin, ding, system lottery. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the B-level item, slashing knife, slashing moon. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the B-level ability card, frozen fruit, perfect. Naruto's pupil shrank when he heard the voice in his head. I grass. Chopping the moon? Chopping knife? Is this thing just B grade? To know the level of combat power in the Sea of Dead Fire, there is no doubt that the god of death is the highest ceiling of the 3 major migrant workers, not to mention Lanran, Yuhabak, and Ling King. Just the residual fire of Old Master Yuan Luzi is outrageous to death, not to mention the chopping moon that forced the protagonist, Black Rider Ichigo. If he cultivates the last crescent moon, Tianchong will directly obtain strength beyond several categories of the god of death. The power of this level is only B level? Naruto asked in surprise, facing the system. The strength of the slashing knife is closely related to the host. If there is not enough strength, the strength it exerts is not necessarily stronger than that of the Hokage world, and this time the host obtained the original chopping moon, which was originally born from Rukia's shallow fight, and was comprehensively attributed to the B-level reward by the system. Naruto heard this. The slashing moon drawn this time is not the real slashing moon that Kurosaki Ichigo obtained in the 1,000-year bloody battle. Although he also has good strength, it is ultimately based on the power of the host itself. Although the move can use the crescent moon heavenly rush and have the opportunity to open the swastika solution, it is undoubtedly a fool's dream to reach the level of Kurosaki Ichigo. That's enough for Naruto though. After all, the deaf bully pretending to be a handsome meow is really suitable for pretending. Moreover, the strongest ability of the slashing knife is that he can attack souls. This also means that whether it is the corpse sealed by the ghoul, the evil god of the immortal body, or the dead who are reborn in the soil, they can all be slashed in front of Naruto, and they are still divided into 2 forms, transcendence and eternal superbirth. Naruto had even a picture in his mind. Ape Flying Sun desperately wants to seal himself with a ghoul seal. As a result, he directly killed the Grim Reaper with a slashing knife in his hand. It's a little exciting to think about. Naruto put away the slashing knife, and then looked at another reward in the system space. Frozen fruit. If Naruto was pleasantly surprised by the slashing knife, then this frozen fruit made Naruto look disgusted. What kind of garbage is this? You must know that in the world of Hokage, there is a secret technique similar to the ability of the natural demon fruit. For example, the hydration secret technique of the ghost lamp family. That thing is similar to water fruit. Not only ignoring physical attacks, but also not being afraid of sea water. That thing is not much stronger than frozen fruit. Moreover, the frozen fruit is developed to the extreme, and it can reach the threshold of super shadow. This is still because of the large range of frozen fruits, so it is taken into account. In terms of small range attack power alone, the green pheasant is more than 1 notch worse than the intercolumn and Bambi. What's more, this broken thing also has the weakness of seawater. System, this thing is also a B-level reward? Naruto asked with a look of disgust, and the system mechanically replied to, all rewards within the range of the super shadow level belong to the B-level lottery, and this ability has been optimized by the system, and there is no weakness of being restrained by sea water and sea floor stones. If you are not satisfied with the prize, the system provides free recovery service, and the system can recover the relevant reward at half price. Naruto took a sip when he heard this. Bah, profiteers. Once I put me 500,000 heavenly destiny value back and forth, a fool will recycle it. Pumped everything, something is better than nothing. Naruto then commanded into the system, use the ability card. Immediately, a coolness swept through the body. Memories of using the power of the frozen fruit flooded into Naruto's mind. Episode 56. Unlike ninjutsu, which relies on chakra to form ninjutsu, the frozen fruit turns into solid ice on its own, and any attack is like an arm. Naruto held out a middle finger. A crystal transparent rose suddenly floated out from the fingertips. Naruto sighed twice. It has an unexpected effect on picking up girls. Naruto snapped his fingers. The ice roses are shattered into ice chips in the sky. After the water stops, it dies. The Uchiha family must have some fears. It's also time for a complete showdown with Konoha F4. With his current strength, he can already enjoy the treatment of Konoha Senshin. The brace on his head already means little to himself. Saving the traces of wood left by the water this time will inevitably make Ape Fei redoubt himself, and it is completely unnecessary to continue to hide his strength. Sure enough, the death of Shueishui made the morale and combat effectiveness of the Uchiha clan instantly decrease. After all, he is the #1 master of Uchiha, and the silent death makes the ordinary people of Uchiha fearful. However, what made Konoha F4 afraid was Naruto's appearance. After all, he sabotaged the plan of Sarutobi and Tuanzo. Tuanzong thought that he was doing it with the ape flying sun chop on his back, and did not dare to let the ape flying sun chop know the stop water of his attack. But ape flying sun chopper knows very well that Tuanzong has lost his hand, and there is a other heavenly god flowing out. More importantly, Naruto's appearance disrupted his plans. This meant that Naruto's secret weapon began to go unchecked. A few days later, Naruto and Uchiha Itachi were called into the conference room of Konoha F4 at the same time. Uchiha knelt on the ground respectfully and reported the trend of the situation in the past few days. Uchiha Shueishui is the backbone of the young people in the clan, and his suicide has instantly reduced Uchiha's morale and combat effectiveness. Koharu nodded. In terms of results, it still stifled the germ of the rebellion. Ape Feiry said with a guilty look. Is the only way to stop the water is to stop them by suicide? Did I push him too hard? Tuanzong asked at this time. It seems that someone in the Uchiha clan suspects that you killed Shueishui. Uchiha said expressionlessly. I, like Shueishui, do everything for Uchiha, and only those who don't understand this will say such things. The water stop did not appear at the meeting point. Tuanzong narrowed his eyes and said, Are you suspected because you hide secrets? Let the dark part officially convey the news of his suicide. No problem, Hinata. Sarutobi nodded. Immediately, Danzo stared at Naruto, who was yawning boredly on the side. Well, I heard that you were attacked in the wild on the day you committed suicide in the water. Under attack? Naruto looked at Danzo playfully. Who dares to attack me? I'm the son of 4 generations. Tuanzang's face turned dark. Enough. I'm not kidding you now. This is a big deal. Do you know that you are a tool of war in the village? This kind of thing is no joke. Stop. Danzo. Sarutobi stood up and sang a red face at this time. Naruto is not the kind of person who lies at will. Naruto, did you meet anyone the other day? However, this time, Naruto didn't pay attention to the ape flying sun slash at all. He directly found the sofa behind him and knocked on Erlang's legs and sat down. Tools of war. Naruto sneered. You deserve it too. The pupils of the Uchiha ferret kneeling below shook. He suddenly felt that the person who had entrusted the water stop to the eyeballs was probably wrong. It was like hoping for peace, and it looked like it was going to war with Konoha. At this time, even the face of the ape flying sun chopped darkened. As a dogleg sleeping bed, Koharu and Mito Minion shouted, Enough! Naruto. Do you know who is sitting in front of you? Naruto looked at Konoha F4 indifferently and sneered. For old immortals, this move completely shocked the position of Konoha F4. Why was this Naruto suddenly so arrogant? And where can Tuanzong stand this anger? I saw him wave his hand, and several roots appeared instantly. Don't think that you can do whatever you want with Muduan. Mudan is not yours. Ape flying sun chopper also persuaded on the side. Na duo, although I know that you are unwilling, but your father left the 9 tails in the village to act as a pillar of strength to protect the peace of the village. Don't be angry. And Naruto smiled coldly. Muduan? Who told you it was my whole card? I saw Naruto lightly tap the back of the sofa twice with his finger. Ice Age. Ice Age. A terrifying cold aura instantly emanated from Naruto's fingertips. Frost instantly covered the entire room like flowing water. Those roots that jumped out didn't even have time to react and instantly turned into ice sculptures. Nani? Konoha F4's face changed drastically, and they burst out at the same time chakra frost to repel out. Naruto looked at Konoha F4 coldly as if sitting on a frozen throne. I'm here, just to give you the face to take care of me all these years. As for whether to protect Konoha, it depends on Konoha's performance. You should be glad that I have had a good life all these years, and in your words, I still have a lot of ties with Konoha. As for power or status, I am not rare at all. I just simply warn you not to mess with me. If Konoha really encounters a crisis that is difficult to resist, I will strike. But what if you want to use me as an instrument of war? Naruto sneered and tapped his finger again. The terrifying cold air once again spread out. With the Hokage Tower as the center, the entire ground of Konoha instantly froze with a layer of frost. Episode 57. It's not good, Naruto-sama. There are enemies attacking Konoha. A dark part suddenly appeared and reported loudly to the ape flying sun. Ape Feiry's face changed. Nanny. What people? Is Konoha lost serious? Why didn't the enchantment class report? The dark part calmed his shocked mood and hurriedly reported. Konoha didn't lose much, but the entire Konoha was covered with a layer of frost on the ground in an instant, and many people's shoes were glued to it. Konoha F4 instantly looked in the direction where Naruto was with a frightened face. However, at this time, Naruto did not know when he disappeared from the place. It was clear that he left the office directly after doing this, and Konoha F4, including Sarutobi Hinata, was stunned and didn't see how he left. And what Naruto did was obviously knocking on Konoha F4. He had the strength to freeze the entire Konoha in an instant. The ape flying sun slashed the power of ice just now, and except for the ninja Shinobu, I am afraid that everyone else was spared. This is to warn Konoha F4 that he has the strength to easily destroy the entire Konoha, even if Shinobu Jigami can kill it. but he can also pull the entire Konoha to be buried. At this time, the face of the ape flying sun was completely blackened. He didn't expect Naruto's strength to be so terrifying. Tuanzang on the side snorted coldly, "Sun Chop. I said you would regret it." However, this time the ape-flying Sun Chop rarely did not refute it. Because Tuanzang was right, he really regretted it. He couldn't understand why Naruto's personality suddenly changed. Could it be that someone is instigating him behind his back? After all, it's just a 6-year-old child, and it's easy to be fooled. And he removed the surveillance of the dark part when Naruto's strength reached the upper shinobi. I was afraid that Naruto would have some misunderstanding. As a result, there was no misunderstanding about himself, and as a result, he was taken advantage of by others. Ape Fei re-chopped the tobacco pouch in his hand one after another. He said to Uchiha Itachi, "Itachi, you go down first, don't tell anyone about things here." Uchiha nodded and disappeared from the spot in an instant. "Hinata, you." Tuanzang saw that there was no one and immediately wanted to take the opportunity to attack. However, Ape Fei re-snorted indifferently, "Shut up. Tuanzang, now is not the time for you to make trouble." Danzo and Koharu and Mito Menyen both looked at Sarutobi in amazement. They had never seen 3 generations of Hokage like this before, no matter what the situation was. The 3 generations have always shown them that they are amiable, peace-loving, indecisive, and courteous to everyone. Ape Fei Ri looked at several rude ice sculptures, and his eyes were full of coldness. "I know that you have now changed to the right eye of the water stopper, and I am too lazy to pursue it, but there is one condition, Danzo, find an opportunity to cast another god on Naruto. I need a person who will always be loyal to Konoha." Naruto in the original book is definitely a hit with another god, because in the same parallel world, Hakazama blackened and chose to take revenge on Konoha, despite the care of the Watergate couple. And Naruto lived a life in the main world that was 100 times more miserable than Wave Wind Face, but still did not have a little hatred, which was completely unreasonable. But looking at Naruto's cultivation under the real waterfall, it has blackened Naruto's strength, and you can see it. If it weren't for Naruto at that time, he already had a lot of bonds. He may not even be able to get past a hurdle in his heart. Moreover, other gods can create memories of real experiences, and there is no need to continuously perform pupil techniques. If Tuanzang had a other heavenly god without cooling, how could he be discovered by Qing's white eyes during the 5 shadows talk? Not to mention that in a moment, the power disappeared. The only possibility is that Danzo's other gods have been used several years ago. All he used was the Sharingan illusion function. The object used was naturally Naruto, who faced the cold violence of the entire Konoha without a trace of darkness. When Tuanzang heard this, his face was ugly and he stared at the ape-flying sun, which seemed to be the first time he had seen a different 3 generations of Hokage. A chill suddenly passed through his heart. If you talk about darkness in your heart, do you really have more than him? Looking at the order that could not be refused, Tuanzang nodded subconsciously. "I know, when the right opportunity comes, I will do it to him." Ape-flying sun said coldly, "Find a chance to stay away from the village, and the Uchiha clan can't stop for long. The Sharingan is a weapon to deal with the power of the human pillar, and it must be in our hands." Tuanzang's eyes narrowed. This is the first time that the idea of ape-flying sun chopping coincides with his own. First deal with the Uchiha clan, and after you can solve the internal strife, then consider how to deal with the human pillar force. Fortunately, the hostility of the current human Jolie to Konoha is not too strong. Don't provoke him first. Wait until the Uchiha clan is solved. You're okay with that? The tough attitude made the rest of the people nod unconsciously. By the time they came back to their senses, the ape had already left. Tuanzang looked at the empty conference room with a dark face. "I was actually shocked by the slash of the sun." On the other side, Sarutobi Hinata had just walked into Hokage's office. Azonin hurriedly ran over and reported with a look of horror. "It's not good. 3 generations of adults. Naruto is out of the village." Episode 58. Nanny. Ape Fei Ri's face changed greatly. "Why didn't you stop him?" Nakashinobu smiled bitterly. "Can't stop his strength is too strong. We can't even find people in an instant." Before leaving, he said to pick up someone outside and come back soon, so don't worry. Ape Fei Ri's face completely darkened. Now Naruto is completely out of his control. It seems that Danzo is going to use other gods to brainwash Naruto as soon as possible. But what he was most worried about now was who was the other god of stopping the water. Ape Flying Sun scolded secretly in his heart. "That waste is hidden, this can't be done well." At this time, Nakashinobu asked to the Ape Flying Sun, "3 generations of adults, what should we do? Do you want to list Naruto as a traitor?" Sarutobi looked at Nakashinobu like an idiot. "Is Naruto a ninja?" Nakashinobu was stunned when he heard this, and then remembered that Naruto was not even a ninja now. Sarutobi waved his hand. "Go down, I let Naruto out, and he'll be back in a while." At this time, with Naruto's strength, all he could do was expect that what he said was true. With Naruto's current strength, if he becomes a traitor, then Konoha will have one more terrifying enemy. Before using Bitenjin, even if he is angry, he can only swallow his anger. It reminded him of that unfilial disgrace, Jiraiya. Isn't it because he drove away the big snake pill? He directly left Konoha and ran to the ninja world, and said that he wanted to bring the big snake pill back. If I let you bring it back, I will drive him out for something. Just when the ape-flying son cut himself off. At this time, Naruto was moving quickly through the woods. His purpose in leaving the village this time was nothing else but to save his poor kindred. Swirling phosphorus. In the Naruto plot, Naruto is not the only one with a tragic fate. Even many people had a much worse childhood than Naruto. I love that Luo is treated the same way as Naruto, or even better. It's okay to be assassinated by his own father. If it weren't for Ma Xuaneng, he would have quacked a long time ago. Shui Weiwei Bai, when he was a child, he was disgusted by his biological father because of the blood succession limit, and killed his mother. In the end, it led to the outbreak of the blood succession limit realm and reduced to beggars, and later cultivated into a killing machine by Zabin, and the vortex fragrant phosphorus. Because of the fall of the country of vortexes, her mother fled to Kusanagi village with her young child. Without a skill, she directly became someone else's blood pack for her daughter, and was eventually sucked dry by a herd of cattle and died. And Uzumaki Xiangfos also embarked on the same fate. If it were not for Xiangyu's strong talent, she might have already stepped into her mother's footsteps. Although she seems to be an idiot in personality, she never abandoned Sasuke from beginning to end, and even if she was abandoned by Sasuke, she finally forgave him for Sasuke's unintentional rescue move on the Chunin exam. This kind of girl is much better than the green tea cherry blossoms given by Sass, who have nothing to do. Naruto didn't want her to be treated the same, and Naruto wanted to ask her mother the truth about the demise of the Vortex country. The Vortex family that escaped is not a minority, but except for Uzumaki Joshinai, who was brought back by the Dark Part, none of the Vortex clan chose to flee to Konoha, the closest alliance village in the Vortex country. Suffice it to say, compared to Konoha village, they would rather stay in the inhumane Kusanagi village and the war-torn Rain country than go to Konoha, a symbol of peace. Naruto didn't believe that the fall of the Vortex country had nothing to do with Konoha. Naruto soon came to the border of Konoha village. This is where Kusanagi village and Taki Shinobi village meet. At this time, the two villages were in the midst of a war. Even though the 5 villages are relatively peaceful, the small countries that serve as a buffer zone for war are still inseparable. Ding dong, the protagonist's aura is in effect, and the Mandate of Heaven event is triggering. Naruto's eyes jumped. He glanced at the woods outside the border. Suddenly, I found a small group of ninjas not far away being hunted down. Naruto stepped forward to take a look. It is the Wind Demon clan known as the mercenaries of the ninja world, and Naruto, who was at war with him, was also particularly familiar. It is the rebel shinobi Kakuto of Taki Ninja Village who has not yet joined the Shao organization. As a long-lived elite who has assassinated 800 miles between 1,000 hand pillars and lost his shuriken, the strength of Jiaodu was naturally not comparable to this group of low-level mercenaries. There are hardly a few rounds. The ninjas of the Wind Demon clan were all knocked to the ground. Even Kakuto is useless for even a single ninjutsu, and he has done this step just by relying on physical skills and ground grievances. Is it only this extent? Kakuto pinched the neck of the last Wind Demon ninja and frowned. You can't exchange a few bucks at all. However, a pitcher plant suddenly appeared from his side. It's really messy. Jiaodu's face changed, and he hurriedly dodged and retreated, and the two figures slowly walked out from the previous smoke. Heavenly Dao Pain. Neru's face showed a look of surprise. I can still meet such a large experience, baby, and I really deserve to find my conscience and run out to save people. Episode 59. Who are you? Kakuto looked at Pain's face a little ugly, and he didn't even notice it to such an extent. This made Kakuto have to be cautious about the two people who appeared in front of him. Undead Ninja Kakuto, we have come to welcome you to become a member of Shao. Shao? Heiju on the side explained. It is an organization that exists to achieve true peace. Kakuto snorted coldly. I'm not interested in this kind of organization, and now all that can lust me is money. Pain said unconcerned. Whether you are interested or not, you have to join the ranks of Shao. The opposite Kaku laughed angrily. No one had spoken to him like this since he assassinated Senju Pillar. You can really boast, it seems that you are a fool with a big gap in strength. Although it seems that you can't exchange much money, but the words are too big. Creeping black whiskers began to appear at the stitched places on Kakuto's body, which looked particularly oozing. Pain said with a slight smile and arrogance. Humph, little challenge me? That's fine, if I win, I'll take you back to join Shao. But he just killed and beat the legendary Sanshinobi Hattori Hanzo. The Ghost Mackerel, the Scorpion, and the Uchiha Weasel are the 3 veteran members who brought out the soil, and it would be a shame if they just couldn't bring back the people themselves. And then Naruto's fluttering voice came. Take me one? I also want the world nuclear level. The people in the 2 rooms were shocked. They didn't even find Naruto? It was obvious that the reincarnation I born according to Naruto's body was 1 level higher than Pain, an outsider. Heiju looked at Naruto with a shocked look and called out in his heart, Groove. Nine-tailed man pillar force? When Pain heard this, he looked at Naruto with a confused expression, and then turned to Kuroji and asked, Nine-tailed man pillar force? Isn't that thing in Konoha? The black face looked like constipation and said, That's right, this is definitely the Nine-Tails Pillar Force. I don't know how Konoha let him run out. Pain immediately sneered when he heard this. It just so happens that I am still worried that it will be too difficult to grab the 9 tails from Konoha, and now is a good time to imprison the 9 tails, and then go to Konoha to capture it when the right time comes. Naruto spread his hands helplessly. Hey, don't be so unkind. Rensley is also a person. Rensley is also peace-loving. Without war, don't you need relentlessly to suffer? It's not that I complain, the life of relentlessly is not so good. You look at the villagers and white-eyed wolves. The nine tails attacked the village, hindering me from anything. Obviously it was made with soil. Do you know Obito? Uchiha takes soil. He has a hobby. He likes to pretend to be Uchiha everywhere, to pretend to be forced. My poor mom and dad died at his hands. Died at the hands of the nine tails under his control, to be exact. Are you angry or not? The face of the black man on the opposite side changed drastically. I grasped. How does this be know the true identity of Obito? Pain was stunned when he heard this, and looked at Naruto in amazement. Obito? Uchiha spots? He looked at Heiju on the side. Kuro coughed awkwardly twice. It doesn't matter who it is. The main thing is that Obito's love also died in the Ninja World War, so he hates war and wants to create a peaceful world. Naruto looked at Kuro playfully. I was thinking about whether to expose the black absolute mother-saving mother. With his strength, he is no longer the trembling person. He was now only chakra away from the super shadow, or even from the 6 realms level. At the peak of the shadow level, he walked completely sideways between the 1,000-hand pillars and Uchiha spots. If he wanted to, he could even easily stop Heiju's plan to save his mother. So he is now looking at this group of unlucky children in the ninja world with a playful attitude. And of course, there is no lack of experienced babies. Kuro was stared at by Naruto's scalp numb, for fear that Naruto would say something shocking again. However, Naruto smiled. You are right. Identity is not important. The important thing is that I love peace. We are comrades. This great dream of dedicating my life to nuclear peace, it is difficult for me not to want a piece of the pie. Oh no, it's a contribution. However, Hei definitely didn't want to put such a big unstable factor in the Shao organization. He suddenly spoke up loudly. I see, this guy is stalling for time. This guy is a nine-tailed human pillar force. How could Konoha village allow him to come out alone? Just take the opportunity to arrest him, and the plan of nuclear ping is half complete. Pain, get your hands on. Pain was stunned. Then he looked at Naruto with a frown. Diantian, heavenly lead. A suction force sucked directly towards Naruto. See the power of God and tremble for it. The faces of the corners on the side changed. It seems that this is not an ordinary ninja. His eyes. It's not an ordinary thing. Is it the kind of chakra eye? And Naruto flew towards Pain's arm without the slightest resistance in the face of gravity. It wasn't until he was about to be caught that he laughed strangely. Why can I come out alone? Of course, the strength is too strong. As he spoke, Naruto's eyes suddenly glowed with a faint blue light. Reincarnation eye. It just so happens that I also have a power here that is not much different from your eyes. Let's see who is stronger. Shinra Heavenly Sign. Episode 60. Impossible. Kuro looked at Naruto with a look of horror. How could he possibly use the pupil technique of the Eye of Reincarnation? Kagaya had been sealed by the 2 Hamura brothers when Black Jew was born, and Hamura did not awaken the reincarnation eye when he sealed Kagaya. Therefore, even Hei never knew the ultimate pupil technique of this wide eye evolution. Tiandao Pain was shocked by the familiar power and instantly collapsed, and flew out in embarrassment. Reincarnation eye? No, it's not right. Looking at Naruto's azure blue eyes, Pain looked confused. Naruto smiled and pressed his hand to the ground. Ice Age. The terrifying ice instantly enveloped the entire forest. Black retreats underground. Kakuto fire mask shot. Fire and head hard. Pain snorted coldly. Shinra Tianjin. The same repulsion will fly the ice. Naruto didn't expect this attack to defeat Tendo either. I saw that he conjured countless ice spears floating in midair. With a wave of his hand, the 3-sided ice spear shot towards Pain like a rain of swords. Pain frowned, slammed it on the ground. The robust Hungry Ghost Road suddenly appeared in front of Pain. Sealing. One of the abilities of the Eye of Reincarnation, using seal absorption to form a shield to absorb the opponent's ninjutsu. The round shield wrapped the 2 of them dead. However, the ice thorns in the sky actually directly broke through the blockade of the shield and pierced into the body of the Hungry Ghost Dao. Nanny, Heavenly Dao Pain in the rear looked shocked. The Hungry Ghost Dao can absorb all ninjutsu, even the blood succession limit. Why didn't his ice escape absorb it himself? And Naruto seemed to have expected the scene in front of him for a long time. Although the frozen fruit and the ice blood succession boundary are both urged by chakra, but the power of the frozen fruit is not at all inferior to the chakra system. After the transformation of the frozen fruit, Naruto released the same cold ice as the cold ice that appeared out of thin air in nature, just as the fruit heart priest used psychic techniques to channel out the mountain fire of the volcano and extinguish the puppet Sishin, a large tube of wood. The ability of the reincarnation I could not absorb the attacks generated by the frozen fruit at all. Pain's face became solemn. He never expected that the teenager who looked like a teenager in front of him had such great strength. He didn't know that Naruto was only 6 years old. Otherwise he would definitely be even more shocked. The black man in the underground looked puzzled. The white of half of his face said strangely, "This is the ice escape blood succession limit?" Kuro directly denied it. It's impossible. Even being done definitely can't escape the absorption of the Eye of Reincarnation. I'm afraid this is the natural ice cube he summoned with psychic. Seeing that the Hungry Ghost Dao was ineffective, Pain directly put away the Hungry Ghost Dao and channeled again. This time he channeled the Beast Dao. Don't be happy too early. I haven't really moved yet. Give your strength to Shao. This is your only way out. Psychic. A huge hellhound appeared in front of Naruto. Naruto pulled out the slashing moon and waved it casually. The crescent celestial rush, which was like the chakra blade cut by Susa, instantly split the Cerberus in two. It's useless, a vicious dog from hell, the more you attack, the more he has. And Naruto was smiling at this time. Coincidentally, I seem to be able to use psychic. Psychic. A huge Himura stone statue was summoned by Naruto. The huge hellhound is really like a puppy in front of the stone statue. At this time, Heiju's face changed greatly. This is Himura. If Naruto heard the shock in Kuroji's heart, he would definitely complain desperately. How did you recognize this thing as Atsuki Himura? Pain snorted coldly. It's not big to be strong. Psychic. Psychic. The rhinoceros and the bull were channeled out at the same time by the animal path. The two howled and rushed towards the stone statue's calf. Rumble. There was a loud bang. The leg of the stone statue was broken by two psychic beasts. The huge figure stumbled and fell. The two hellhounds howled and threw themselves at the stone statue. Sharp claws and teeth crushed the stone statue made of stone. Pain looked at Naruto with a smug look. However, he noticed that Naruto's face did not change in the slightest. Just as Pain was about to control the psychic beast to attack Naruto's body, two huge arms slammed down on the rhinoceros and the bull. Bang! The two psychic beasts wailed and directly turned into a cloud of smoke. The hellhound, on the other hand, was grabbed by the stone statue and could not move. Pain fixed his eyes. The originally shattered stone statue is recovering quickly at a terrifying speed. Soon, an intact stone statue appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The painting on Pain's face completely shattered. Impossible. What the hell are you? Naruto slowly floated up with a smile on his face and said with a smile, "Oh wow Uzumaki Naruto, it's a god." Saying that, Naruto directly turned on the reincarnation eye chakra mode. The six coats and the jade of seeking the Tao appeared directly behind him. The black in the underground completely changed his face. Impossible. How come there are still people who have the strength of the six realms now? However, Naruto didn't give him a chance to react at all and directly raised his arm. Silver Will Reincarnation Explosion. Multiple Tao-seeking jades were released from the palm of the right palm. As Naruto rotated these fairway jade with both hands, the exterior of the seeking Tao jade is covered with a layer of green chakra. A silver aperture slowly formed. A huge tornado in the aperture directly swept through the entire forest.